Yo, we are rounding the corner. It's a diary of a troublemaker kind of day. Rounding the corner, third base, Thursday. We're going to talk about DMSC wrapping up
Everywhere I go,
and some other things.
really want to know who I
Other
is.
things. Got all distracted with the diary of a troublemaker. If you didn't
Look,
know, it's one of my favorite pieces of swag.
It is one of my favorite pieces of swag. Actually, sometimes I forget about it. It sits over here on my desk. I have it when I like really need to write something down and have it, etched in memory, right? And Don Brady shared, he was like, I write in this thing every day the other day. And I was just thinking, like, if you took the automotive industry as a whole and kind of captured the diaries of the intentionality around every day, the business practices, the stories that are deeply entrenched in the automotive industry on a daily basis, and just like not just that, but like put all of that there, plus these grandiose stories of kind of fun and ridiculousness, right? I was reminded that we're planning a ASOTU, right? And we're having a lot of great conversations around like collaboration around that. And I was reminded that, and we were reminded that so much of what happens in automotive is standing around a bar at an after party, and all of the sudden, right, two companies, their CEOs are standing there, and historically they've been like at odds, and then all of a sudden they're having a beer, they're having a soda or whatever they're doing, and all of a sudden there's this spark that becomes a story that changes the trajectory of automotive services, right? And that the ridiculous
how it happens
around how that works in automotive and how that's constantly churning and energizing, and events like DMSC, we heard about some of the insights and the engagement, the dealers and
Glenn Pasch is in here right now. Actually, he just said hello.
Hey, Glenn. Glenn Pasch, what a guy.
We're going to talk about DMSC in just a second. If you
exactly.
Want to hang
from him and Brian putting on events like that encourage our industry in that way. Woo! The diary of the automotive industry is rich. Let me just say
that is an interesting show open.
It is. I don't know why I got excited about that, but the diary of automotive is rich. So that's an open. That's a quick boom, and we'll get going. But I don't know. I was like in the 30-second countdown, and that was when that happened.
So, Brooke, good to see you. We missed you at DMSA too, just so you know. It wrapped yesterday. We actually have a great little tie back. Chris, our senior writer, wrote a little summary of DMSC. We've been hearing nothing but great things, by the way, seeing the pictures, experiencing some massive FOMO. The little piece, you can click through to it in the show notes or just get the daily newsletter at ASOTU.com. He pulled out 4 themes: adaptability, courage, right? Like Brian Pasch from the stage apparently was just like, one of the reasons that we're not innovating is because when things are changing, everybody gets afraid and we hold on to things. So interesting perspective on courage, being proactive and being human. I heard there's an awesome session about video content and connection. It's so near and dear to our hearts. Just want to give shout out to our friends that put on DMSC, Brian Pasch, Glenn Pasch, the whole team there, for just really making some trouble at the DMSC conferences for a long time. And that is the conference where imagine if we could quantify how many things happened around some drinks and some wine afterwards and some just casual conversations that turned into serious transformation in the auto industry. That's exactly what we're talking about. We've been talking all week about ASOTU plans ramping up full speed. We've had, we're probably 20 calls deep. We have about 20 more calls to go. And we have been pitching ASOTU to everybody. And the more we talk about it, the more excited we get, because we realize pulling in together these elements of education, but more collaboration and fixing problems in an environment that's more like South by Southwest. That is actually how the industry is going to innovate. And I'm really excited for the synthesis of some major transitions in auto happening at ASOTU. You can't get really much information now except for what you get here, but you can go to ASOTUcon.com, put your little name on the crappy website right there, so that once the great website is out, you will get
It's
it.
going to be amazing. We promise.
And
we
you will see it.
absolutely promise.
Oh, and Glenn just wants us to mention, and I'd love to mention that you can get a virtual pass still to DMSC and watch all the content if you missed it. I am going to try to check out the content that I missed as well. We mentioned yesterday in the morning that we wanted to do something. If anyone had any idea of how we could kind of band together as an industry and give it a meaningful way to the families and the victims of the Uvalde massacre, how we could do that together. And Kyle, your wife kind of came through with what we vetted kind of out as the best place to do that collectively. And we link it up in the show notes. It's a GoFundMe account. I don't know. Can you just search by the name to get to this specific one?
Yeah, it's not a GoFundMe account specifically, but GoFundMe has done the hard work of vetting it all out, vetting the ones that are like legit being raised by the right people. There's actually like a general fund that's been put on that's raised over $2.7 million at this point. So if you search on GoFundMe or if you link in our show notes, you can find kind of those top options on GoFundMe. They've vetted it, done the research, done the work to make sure that your money's going to the right places. And it's just a really simple way to kind of give back wherever you're at in the country for those affected by that loss. So just a really neat find by my wife, and shout out to her. I know she listens every day. And if you do have the capacity to give, make sure you go and find those places to do that.
There you go. We also just posted it in the comments, and unfortunately, LinkedIn, we can't post comments from StreamYard. Come on, StreamYard, get with the program. Or maybe it's LinkedIn that's not with the program. I don't know. Y'all need to play nicer together. We're following this story about VW's announcement that they're going to release a electric pickup and SUV under the brand name Scout, saying it is going to be a standalone brand and not related to the dealers. We started this out. This is kind of our third iteration on this. We brought it up when it came out. The VW rep in the elevator seemed to know nothing about it. And then we figured out why, because VW said we're releasing it as an independent brand, to which every VW dealer was like, what is going on? Automotive News article says, in a letter dated Tuesday to Scott Keogh, CEO of VW Group of America, the NADA CEO, Mike Stanton, who we all know, addressed the lack of information from the Scout announcement and urged Keogh to quickly and clearly communicate their distribution plan to your dealers who have made significant investments to support VW's business model and transformation to electrification. He's like, look, Keogh has historically been a full-throated advocate of the auto dealer network, and said the longer you let dealers go without information, right, the more speculation and potentially misinformation is going to fill the void. So we have a little bit of our very own Real Housewives episode here in automotive.
I love how you put that. Well, here's what I love about this is a lot of times, there are, varying opinions as to what NADA is doing on a day-to-day basis. And I think if you ask and polled the executives in dealerships, the owners, the partners, the people that are involved in NADA, they understand the lobbying. They understand how that's working with the dealers to continue to build bridges, both politically and with the OEMs. Mm-hmm. And I think, for the people that are listening to this across the industry, listening to this across the dealer network, is just recognize that these organizations are the reason why the franchise dealership network is so strong in the US, and that it doesn't get thwarted by just OEMs just deciding to do things similar to what Mercedes-Benz is doing in Germany right now and in Europe. These are organizations, the state organizations, NADA, that are making sure that everything that we believe that the retail auto dealer network is the best possible way to deliver and service vehicles continues to stay the truth within the OEM relationships. And I think that the OEMs are actually well served by that, because it's a listening voice in a way that is maybe not the way that happens on dealer councils or in direct relationships. It's that indirect third party that allows that conversation to continue to happen in a positive way.
One of the elements of this story that I like is that the state associations all of a sudden kind of stepped up in mass as well. And on behalf of their VW dealers, I don't know if it's all the state associations, but a lot of the state associations penned their own letters of, varying tones, and, because obviously you have like a lot of different people communicating,
Sure.
their interests and frustrations or whatever it was. And I kind of got reminded, the fight scene in Anchorman.
Yes,
when,
yes,
when
yeah,
they
when
all kind of
everybody's
came up,
walking in.
that's
Yes,
just the
yes.
image that
In the
kinda
alley. It's
came
perfect.
to mind, like
yes.
NADA, and then the state associations come up, and I know it doesn't have to be. I mean, look, there's some contention in the relationship right now because, obviously, there are like the dealers have been what made Volkswagen what it is in the United States, communicated the needs for the pickup truck, probably helped push a lot of the EV movement through VW dealers, talking about the future of electrification in VW. And then
especially VW.
Oh yeah. And especially one that, I was thinking of our friend John Luciano in Amarillo, Texas, because that's a huge pickup truck market, right? He dominated with VW in a pickup truck market in West Texas. And so to finally think, oh, we're going to get a pickup, maybe not. So VW, if anyone's listening, I mean, they have refused to comment, and I don't think this show is going to make them comment. But my gut's telling me right now they're figuring out, like, what are we gonna do with this one? What are we gonna do with this one?
Yeah, and this is the every time something new happens, from GM to Ford to VW, it starts to set a precedent for what all other OEMs in the US start to recognize they should or can be doing.
Yeah, without a doubt. So, I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that
Me too.
VW will realize and execute through the dealer network. And this just goes to show you why continually we need, as the dealer network, as the retail dealership, conglomerate, need to consistently show and prove that we are the best way to sell, service, and deliver vehicles, whether they're EVs or ICE vehicles or motor scooters, whatever they are, airplanes, quadcopters. We are the best way because we are tied in. We have to prove it every day, day in and day out. Can you imagine if one
you know what? I want to throw this out there.
Here we go. We're getting in
I know
on this
there's
one
only
now.
we get anywhere between 60 and 150 downloads on this podcast per day. But if anyone knows someone at the OEM level that would be interested in attending and communicating with us at ASOTUCon, open invitation to executives at OEMs to be able to sit down and have those conversations with the dealer network in ASOTU. And so we just want to throw that out there. Like, if you have those connections, we want to make those inroads. And that's just a full-on open invitation, because the conversation happening at these levels absolutely has to happen faster and more often. And so we want to help curate that.
No, that's a great mention. That's a great mention. I drove by like a furniture store the other day, and you know how they're all like selling Purple mattresses now?
Yes.
Right. The brand Purple started as direct to consumer brand. And then before you know it, they were like, you know what? I think we know how to take
these little spots that do this thing all the time.
I was like, wouldn't it be interesting if like a direct to consumer EV brand, all of a sudden, like the light bulb clicked on and they went to the dealer network and were like, oh, actually we can get these vehicles out really fast and give a great customer experience. Yes. Like if we just leverage this not so hidden gem, right? So we'll see what comes of that. But hey, at the end of the day, if you don't fully communicate your intentions, just in leadership or communication or team in general, guess what? The lizard brain's going to kick in, and everyone's going to assume that you're out to kill them. That's just how it works. That's how it works. All right, one more story here. A new paper that just was released, a joint venture between Tesla and Jeff Dahn's Dalhousie University. I don't know. Not a familiar one, but the article is in today's daily pushback email. If you don't get it, ASOTU.com, sign up for the email. Stuff like this is in there every morning. This is in there today. And they say that they've successfully tested technology that would give us a 100-year battery. 100 years.
Dude, that would be game changing.
Well, you think? I mean, because there's a lot of questions around whether or not it's actually sustainable, if we're actually doing anything good for the environment by harvesting all the lithium and metals, and then pushing out this lump of toxic materials that is just going to be here for the next 100,000 years because it's never going to break down. So if all of a sudden, instead of like a 5 to 8 or 10 year battery life, if all of a sudden we get a 10 times the life on that. That sounds a little bit better.
Starts to change the conversation a little bit, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, the one thing, obviously, it was an initial and controlled experiment. 77 degrees Fahrenheit.
You're like, you gotta live in San Diego.
Yeah.
But to make it work, San Diego's the place. It's gonna be perfect. We're gonna have everyone in San Diego.
Except we're not sure San Diego's gonna be here 100 years from now because of that fault line thing. So all that coming together. But I think a really great takeaway is this: that new technologies come out, new things start to shift and change. But honestly, when you're committed to innovation, something new always comes up, right?
Yes.
A new thing always comes up. That's like the triumph of the human spirit, right? And with all the attention on EVs, all the attention on battery technology, like I believe that human race is going to find a better way to do it. So
I agree. Yeah. And here's what's cool. A couple of days ago, I wrote in the email, kind of the lead of it, just like constantly be willing to take something that's working well, break it down to nothing, and figure out if that's still the best way. Right. And I think that if we continue to think that, instead of just stopping at going like EV's the 100% next way, what if we, in the middle of something that's working well, start to go break it down to nothing, build it back up again? What actually is the best way? Is it that, or is it something new, or is it something, combined of the couple? And I think if we continue to do that as an industry and as businesses, we're going to see innovation move quicker and quicker.
Well, from Kyle's lips to everyone's ears, may we all do that today, because that is the constant march we are on, banding together, pushing back, pushing forward, pushing in every which way, making a little trouble.